proceeding, there are several cutscenes will play in sequence. It's recommended you satisfy sufficient time to view these scenes in their entirety. Hey there folks, rinimt here and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. In the last part, we saw the end of the song. We defeated Nidhogg after conquering Hroesvelgur's trial.
Estinian!
Cease your mewling, boy. It grates my ears.
Forgive me. When I saw you awaken, I could not... It was such a relief. We feared you might never wake up.
Now, Estinian. If Master Alphino thought any less of you, you would still be Nidhogg's plaything. Or dead.
Aye, 'twas but a jest. I thank you, Alphino. And you too, Warrior of Light. Quite how you managed to persuade Hroesvelgur to aid in his brood brother's downfall I cannot imagine. But full glad am I that you did. Yet again, you have achieved the impossible.
I, for my part, owe you an apology. When last we met, I did willingly loose an arrow at your heart. Can you forgive me?
There is naught to forgive, Hameric. You but acted in defense of Ishgard as is your duty. Were you any less single-minded about it, I would not follow you into battle, nor trust you at my back. Besides, I had come to the selfsame conclusion, that I would have to perish for Nidhogg to be stopped. So let us dispense with the hand-wringing. I have heard enough mewling for one day.
Oh!
The tendrils of Nidhogg's foul presence bound up every fiber of my being, usurping my senses, but I yet retained some trace of awareness. The worm's mind was as a vast and tumultuous sea. Endlessly its black waters churned, his grief and despair at Ratatoska's murder never calming, never receding. Driven by this surging current came wave upon wave of unrelenting rancor. It was the very image of my own heart. There I saw the dark reflection of the hatred I felt after Nidhogg slew my family, when no path remained save vengeance against dragonkind. Neither one of us had a choice. But I was blessed with something Nidhogg was not. Comrades and teachers to console and admonish me. Had I not had them to gainsay my obsession, it would surely have consumed me as Nidhogg's did him, and we would have been in all respects alike. Though his shade is banished, his spirit scattered upon the sea of clouds, I feel no joy at his passing. Where once I craved vengeance, I now crave rest. Lord Commander, my hunt is at an end. I would lay down the mantle of Azure Dragoon.
My friend.
He has tired himself with too many words. I doubt not that he will make a full recovery, but he must be allowed some few days of quiet.
I too must see my path to its end. Sleep well, my friend.
Following the battle with Nidhogg on the Steps of Faith, Sir Emeric called an assembly that he might make his final proclamation as acting head of state. "'Twas there, with one decree, that the 1,000-year rule of the archbishops was ended, paving the way for a new republic. The governance of Ishgard would now be placed in the hands of high and lowborn alike, their ranks represented by the newly founded House of Lords and House of Commons. Church was separated from state. The foundation for change had been carefully laid, and the reforms proposed by Ishgard's new government passed into law without incident. His duty done, Emeric de Burrell gladly stepped down from the Archbishop's dais, only to be raised unto the highest seat in the House of Lords. Though he strove at first to refuse this honor, the unexpectedly strident voice of the Count de Durandare left him little choice but to accept. And so it was that the winds of gentle revolution came to stir. Prominent among the many honored guests at Sir Emeric's investiture were the ambassadors of Dragonkind, a fitting symbol of Ishgard's newfound peace. The people looked on in awe as he soared through the heavens on Dragonback. And by their cheers did they hail him an Azure Dragoon for a new age. Thus were the notes of the dragon song rewritten. The din of war, giving way to a rising litany of peace and hope.
I was expecting like 30 minutes, not 13. Feel let down by the several cutscenes we'll play in sequence. Maybe. That's a place though. I was gazing out at the sea of clouds in an all too rare moment of idleness when I chanced to behold a certain hero wending her way towards the city on Dragonback. Welcome home, Arya. Nay, 'twas no grave matter that moved me to greet you in person. Between you and me, I merely sought respite from the pressures of office. No sooner do I surrender my role as temporary head of state than I am burdened with a position of more permanent responsibility. I fancy that echoes in some small measure the way you must feel when your improbable feats of heroism are rewarded with still more impossible challenges. Yeah. The myth which guided our society for generations lies in tatters. Am I then to be scorned for building upon the system of nobility that I once sought to tear down? And what strange jest is this that places me at its pinnacle, an archbishop's bastard at the head of the House of Lords? But these questions are for me to answer. It is not in man's nature to change overnight. This I learned through painful experience. It was this hard lesson which convinced me to take the path which we now follow. Even as we rebuild the bridges between man and dragon, must we reimagine Ishgard, one carefully placed stone at a time. We must remember that it is not for us that we laid this groundwork, but for the men and women that our children will become. May their towers rise proudly from the fundament of our legacy. I hear a word from Captain Whitecape that Estinian has vanished from his sick room. His willfulness survives undiminished. Should you ever happen upon our unmannerly friend on your travels, pray assure him that I shall keep Ishgard safe until he deigns to come home. Will do. Thank you, Arya. And please, convey my warmest regards to Master Alphinaud. go to Fort Taunt Manor. Still get lost here, okay? Some things never change. And now I have to wait for it to load. Maybe. Oh. He's inside, isn't he? I'm out here waiting for nothing. He spoke with Sir Aymeric. I do not envy him his new position. Ishgard has chosen a new road, one littered with the detritus of 1,000 years of broken faith. Yet though her people may stumble from time to time, I know of none better than Sir Aymeric to lead the march of progress. And as for us, there remains a small matter of ushering in a new dawn in the shadow of inscrutable Ascian machinations and a seemingly endless procession of primals. We too must walk our chosen path, no matter how treacherous the footing. So again, orchestration, and a minion, and a glamour piece. In the wake of Ishgard's governmental reform, new airship routes have been sanctioned. You might travel to a selection of distant locales from the landing in Ishgard. For all those people who use airship. What? Thank you, blonde hairs. Nay, you need not remain there. We shall rendezvous at the usual place. All is proceeding as expected, then. Aye, there is naught to concern us, aside from one overly curious mouse. This way. Him again. It is of no moment. They will play their part and we will play ours. And thus did grey mist give way to azure skies. Man and dragon rise above, voices join in song. Beneath shrouded boughs, beyond the scope of light, shadow stirs. For the Horde. Alright, so clearly we have enough time left in this video, jeez. Oh yeah, it's a role play in order, even though it's like shorter than some other cutscenes we've already gone through here. I'm looking for... going back into Fort Taunt Manor here. Yes, re-enter, please. Yep. I was gonna say there should be a quest in here. The path we walk. It was bitterly cold when you first came to our city, when I stood waiting for you before the Ark of the Worthy. I think that was where it all began. How much has changed since that day? Forgive me. Of late I have been studying the works of the Beladian poet king, who wrote, "To ye who ask of things to come, give thought to what is past and gone." So rarely have we the luxury to reflect on the choices we have made, on how they have shaped our lives and the lives of others. Even I, a mere steward whose deeds would not merit a footnote in the annals of history, can see the value in this. I say this to you, Mistress Ariana, because as you move, so too does the world. Pray spare a moment to contemplate your journey while you can. The road stretched on, obscured by an endless veil of snow. Somewhere in the white beyond stood the great iron gates. On the other side, a humble manservant who awaited the coming of 3 travelers. A warm welcome to you, Mistress Ariana. To what do I owe the pleasure? Retracing your steps from those first days in Ishgard, I see. Well, no one could begrudge you for indulging in a little nostalgia, or remind how much I owe to you and yours. Lest you forget, foreign merchants were subject to a frankly unreasonable level of scrutiny until relatively recently. Not so now, however. Now goods from every corner of Eorzea flow into our markets, and that, my friend, is change we can all appreciate. Merchants of all nations speak a common tongue, and its words are coin. Needless to say, there is little profit to be had in prejudice, especially against those who have received the patronage of a count. Thus, when the wards of House Fortin arrived, she was only too happy to make their acquaintance. What'll it be then? Ale, mulled wine? No, don't tell me. Tea? Oh, so it's to be memories then, is it? Now there's a bitter draught that'll leave you wanting, assuming you can remember your own name, that is. Take your friend Tatara. One moment she's just another girl waiting on customers, clearing tables and so forth. Next she's got a dozen admirers asking after every bloody night. I'll be damned if I can remember how it happened. Singing those stupid songs, dancing those daft dances. Though to be honest, I think it was her stories that won them over. Stories of a certain hero's grand adventures across the Eorzea told with a flair that put a minstrel to shame. Who doesn't love a good hero's tale, am I right? Hells, we've even got one about the man who built this tavern. Was one of the founding fathers of Ishgard, or so it goes. Now, as the Enchiridion told it, besides Haldreth, the only knights who served the battle with Nidhogg were the founders of the High Houses. Of course, these days, we all know better than to put too much stock in the words of the church, eh? But there's more to our tale than just words. There's a sword, too. One which has been passed down from proprietor to proprietor since before anyone can remember. She's a rusty old bugger, but if you look closely at her handle, you can just about make out an inscription. Brothers brave and true, live well, forgotten and content. A man who forsook wealth and fame and chose the life of a humble tavern keeper. It's just a tale, of course, albeit the good one. As for the truth, who can say, friend? Who can say? He knew everyone's story, though he would never share his own. An optimist. He wanted to believe in the best in people. Sometimes that faith would be rewarded, other times betrayed. But he would listen, regardless, and he would hope. Wrong area. There we go. I chose the wrong area. Mistress Ariana, I was but this moment thinking of you. I'd hoped to speak with you at Sir Amrick's investiture, but circumstances conspired to prevent me from attending. Mayhap you allow me to say now what I could not say then. On behalf of House Halenart and all of Ishgard, I offer unto you my deepest and most humble thanks. You risked your life to stand against our sworn enemy and freed us from a millennium of torment. Though we can never hope to repay you, we will ever remember you and your deeds, that our children and their children's children might know the women to whom they owe their lives. I can see that the grand investiture would have been a more fitting occasion for such words, but I could not risk them being left unspoken. What brings you this way? As you can see, Camp Cloudtop remains much the same as it did during the war, though we need no longer watch the skies for Javanian outflyers. The Vanu have proven themselves similarly worthy of our attention. I say, old girl, you have the most uncanny ability to appear whenever I least expect you. Enough about that. On the roll? Yes, my lord. Lady, I am pleased to report that we succeeded in infiltrating Vundu territory and there observed the beastmen harvesting crystals at several different sites. Based on the volume of crystals acquired during our period of surveillance, I have prepared an estimate of how much time I believe will take the Vundu to gather sufficient crystals for another summoning. I've also taken liberty of drafting several proposals outlining how the Rose Knights might prevent such an eventuality, such as raiding these sites and securing their stores, as well as a detailed assessment of the risks involved should you choose to proceed. By the Fury, I gathered you were clever, but I was not aware that you were capable of this. With respect, you are wasted on your master. Hardworking, full of potential. I think there's a place for you here with the Rose Knights, if you would have it. That you would even consider taking me into your service is a tremendous honor, my lady, and were I free to do so, I should gladly accept. But I'm pledged to another, as you well know. Regrettable, but understandable. I take comfort in the fact that the youth of your talent and character would never want for opportunities. Pledge to another, you rascal! I thought I saw you whispering young Sabatier the other day. Certainly wasting no time wooing our newest maid. There will be no secrets between us. You must tell me everything. Where you've been sneaking off to together, what adventures you've been having. Every little detail. Don't you dare leave anything out. I'm sure he will not. In any event, you have jointly exceeded my expectations. I grant you leave to return to the city. Should the need arise, I shall call upon you again. Thank you, my lady. I believe we shall do as you suggest. Until we meet again, Mistress Ariana. So fast! The next airship isn't due for another hour, and we have so much to talk about. Anara! Anara! Ay. For all the lady's disdain, it was no familiar dance to her. Lord Manolane would always be the boy fumbling for a compliment, and perhaps there was comfort in that. A memory of home on the blink frontier. Falcon's Nest time. I was a foot off the ground. 1,000 pardons, Mistress Ariana. Had known you were planning to pay us a visit, I would have seen that you received a proper reception, a feast, perhaps, or at least a formal welcome with the men in full dress. No, please. You have more than earned it. One need only look to the pilgrims who come in the droves to pray before the relief to see the truth of that. Some abide in silence, while others shed tears. Not for sorrow, you understand, but for joy. Joy at being released from Nidhogg's torment. Sir Redwell, the shipment has been unloaded, and the quartermaster confirms that the supplies are accounted for. Mr. Sariana, are you here on official business? Nah. Memories. A journey to remember and reflect. Much has changed since first we came here together. Since I abandoned you to follow the heretic's trail alone. Come, my lord, mayhap you recall the survivor whom you carried back to Falcon's Nest that day? Well, his wife but recently gave birth to their first child. Sounds so. Well, mayhap I should pay him a visit. Though he would doubtless be honored, my lord, you need not put yourself to such trouble. Your responsibilities as Count surely leave little time, such as it is. Think not on that. I am still me, and you are still you. Whatever our respective titles, I would speak to you as a friend. His preoccupation with position and power has sown no end of discord between our two houses, to the great detriment of our nation. This is especially galling when one considers that much of what we have achieved was by virtue of our blood and not our character. So, call me Count if you must, but know that I take no pride in it. Mayhap one day, when I've earned it, I will. But not today. Still himself, is he? An honorable man, mindful of tradition, he was loath to accept the assistance of a foreigner in exile, but when forced to confront bitter truths, he looked within and found himself wanting. Pride be damned, then, if it led one astray, he would set aside his prejudices and join hands with this gifted outcast for the greater good of Ishgard. Where the heck? Oh. Back to Foundation! Two foreign heretics against two knights of the Heavensward. Under the watchful gaze of the Fury, they would fight, and the winner's claims would be proven true. It was the opening gambit of a greater game whose stakes would remain unknown for some time. Is it the hot one, which is that way? You are Mistress Ariana, if I'm not mistaken? We have met, though I am sure you do not remember. It was a seeming lifetime ago when you answered the Archbishop's summons. I often come here to reflect upon all that has come to pass. When I saw you gazing at the Holy Vault, I thought perhaps you had too. You turned our world upside down, everything we held dear, for change, for the truth. They say it had to be done, that his grace sought godhood. If so, then perhaps it was the Fury's will that you prevail. But to say it, to believe it, I know that no man is without sin, but he was pious and humble, wholly devoted to the church and to his people. I knew him, miss. He was a good man. Whatever else he may have been, I will remember him as a good man. To walk the righteous path, to live for the sake of others, to rise to the highest station, yet remain powerless to bring an end to your people's suffering. What price salvation, then? What sacrifice beyond reason? For uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. Limsa Lominsa! is most unexpected. You have business with the Admiral? I know it's unexpected. A journey of remembrance, you say? Well, far be it from me to deny you. Unannounced or not, I suspect the Admiral would be most displeased if she heard that I turned you away. Thank the Navigator. I resign myself to another day spent listening to my advisors prattle on about the Beastman's latest movements. Come, Arya, tell me of your adventures. Nah, I slew a dragon. End of the war. Yeah. The Ishgardians sail in uncharted waters, though. I hope these new reforms of theirs meet with no resistance. It would not be the first grand voyage to run afoul of reefs ere it properly began. But with Sir Aymeric at the helm, they may yet chart a course for generations to follow. Which is not to say our own doesn't need correcting. The Alliance has grown complacent. The bloody nose he gave us at the melee the bloody nose he gave us at the melee showed me that. Nor the forgotten lessons of the banquet. Rest assured, we will root out any further turncoats before the dagger is at our back. You have my word on that, and Lady Yugiri's besides. She had never been one to retreat, much less in the face of transparent theatrics. But this had been no ordinary battlefield. Its rules of engagement anything but clear. So she would watch, and she would learn. And in time, she would act. Hey! We are at the final step! Off to Reven's Toll. Hello. Mr. Arya, is Artemis? I am both flattered and surprised that you should remember my small role in this tale, given the grandeur of your subsequent endeavors. Though I must confess to having derived some selfish pleasure from donning the garments of the shinobi once more, I'm honored to have been able to assist in freeing General Levon from his captivity. And I believe I speak for all my countrymen when I say that we are most grateful to have been granted the opportunity to contribute to the restoration of the Scions. Much has changed, it is true, and much may never be as it once was. Then watching you and yours rise from the ashes and rebuild, I'm reminded that we must never give in to despair, and that there is always something which may yet be saved. What is this? The oaths we swear. So much for my hope that we are almost at the end, right? Will you be trying to duel Dawn next? If so, I'd ask a favor of you. I have prepared a special engine to aid in General Bond's rehabilitation. Injuries such as his must be tended to daily, even long after they have healed. You need only deliver it to his man, Commander Swift. You will see that the Flame General receives it. Okay, but while we're actually here, so I don't have to make a trip back, mainly, there's something to unlock. This is slightly out of the way I normally would have done in the order, but we're here, so screw it. Let's go. And now I have to wait for it to load again. There we are. It's gonna take too long. Nidhogg's Rage. Greetings, Arya. I am ever glad to see you pass through the 7th heaven with purposeful stride, although one of my more persistent patrons would be gladder still. I have been requested to direct you into his presence at your earliest convenience. If you have a moment to spare from saving the realm, pray rescue my establishment from the piteous mewling of a story-starved minstrel. Arya, I've subsisted on the scraps of travelers, all but wasting hopes. I awaited the full repast that only you can provide. They say you brought into 1,000-year war, that the great worm Nidhogg shall no more darken the skies of Ishgard. But the dragon song must have a final verse. I beg of you, feed me every morsel. I shall devour every sight, every sound, every blow that you landed upon his scaly hide. A glorious fair, brother set against brother, a fallen companion saved. I am revived and restored, and my fingers ache to strum the score. Eternal is the dragon's woe, unceasing doth his anguish flow, yet for the walls of Ishgard high, against blood did Hraesvelgr a lie. Eternal is the dragon's rage, dread Nidhogg's wrath did span an age, yet by his hatred brother's eye did light quell shade and vengeance die. What say you? Does your blood not quicken at the tale's retelling? One might accuse the language of being overly flowery, but epic deeds demand epic depictions. Do you not agree? The Minstrel's Ballad, Nidhogg's Rage, is now accessible. Yeah, so I wanted to unlock Nidhogg Extreme, even though we still have yet to actually do... Ah, those are... okay. Even though I haven't done Sephiroth yet, I keep looking. Wrong tab. Oh. Hey look, there is a Nidhogg up. But I'm in the middle of something right now. Let's go to Ulda. Actually wasn't expecting there to be a Nidhogg up, I'll be honest. Greetings, Lieutenant Ariana. What is that you have there? Unjin? I was not aware the General requested such stuff, or required such stuff. One of her Dolmen friends made this for him, did she? Very well. I shall be sure to pass it on. Actually, wait here. We have just this moment concluded the meeting. I would expect him to be glad to speak with you before returning to the palace. Yo! Not sorry I kicked your butt. So, Commander Swift tells me you came all this way to deliver Unjin? Daily, she says. Well, mayhap it is best to be prudent. The gods alone know why you agreed to deliver it for her, though. Unless you mean to favor me with that rematch I requested. I jest less. You are on a journey of reflection, are you not? I, Merlib, said as much. And now you want to relive the moment you pulled me from the pit Ilberd left me into rot. And the time I kicked your butt. Chased me to think of it, that I was so blind to his hatred. Lorito tells me that it was not always so. The Ilberd admitted to him he once believed that I would return to Alamigo at the head of an army. But years passed, and I did nothing. For all my accomplishments, for all my wealth, power, and influence, I did not to better the plight of my people. Not for lack of trying, but Ilberd didn't know. He thought the bull of Alamigo had grown fat and complacent. That my story set a bad example for our countrymen. Forget your homeland, chase the old dawn dream. A fine, impossible dream, which gave men the strength to endure their hardships and try to make new lives for themselves here. So the dream had to die. He would kill me, stir up the disillusioned, arm them to the military's expense, and then... Forgive me, the Scions paid the price for my failings. The gods know I have no shortage of debts to repay, of vows to keep and duties to discharge, but mark me well, lass, there will be a reckoning. Mayhap not today, mayhap not tomorrow, but a reckoning there will be. A refugee of a fallen nation, he had risen from the depths of poverty to claim a seat on the Syndicate. Yet for all his great deeds, one was left undone. And like sand through an hourglass, the years slipped away, taking with them an old friend's hope. Oh boy. Where's this list? Oh god, okay, we're taking this route. We are going to go to Oxendu. We're gonna fly into Coerthas that way. This is slightly faster to get to the northern part. By the Fury, is that you, Mistress Ariana? Forgive me, but what reason could you possibly have for returning to this god's forsaken place? Mayhap it is fate which brings you here on this day of introspection and reflection. We are come to Gorgain Mills to accept the surrender of a half-dozen heretics who once fought for the Lady Iceheart. If you're intending to visit the cellars, I would ask that you do nothing to unsettle them. Nice wall, Rennie. Nice wall. Nice corner. I'm very good at this. Wait, I know you. You're at the amphitheater with the Dragon Slayer. I suppose we owe you an apology. When you came to us seeking a parley, we were sure it was a scheme to lure out Our Lady. We were sure about a lot of things. When she first shared her revelation, when she told us that she was not Saint Shiva reborn, we assumed it was a test. For had we not prayed for salvation? Had she not descended to deliver us from evil? She replied that our prayers were but fuel for a fervent fever dream, a construct born of desperation and denial. She was no savior, she said. But when we marched upon Ishgard regardless, she pulled us from the brink of oblivion and implored us to find another way. And here we are, ready to lay down our arms at last. It's time. She considered you a friend. Had things been different, mayhaps we could have been friends too. Farewell. Forsaken by gods and men, they found salvation in the revelation. They would take up arms against their own kind as the ancient wrongs to right. Cut out Ishgard's festering heart and the war would be over. This they knew, believed with all their being, until their savior told them their efforts would be for naught. Alright, down to the Convictory. Well, if it isn't the great warrior of light herself, who slew the dreadworm Nidhogg, bringing an end to 1,000 years of war, and my very livelihood. Well, go on then, strike me down and finish the job, stab me right in the heart. I'll even lend you my spear if you like. After all, I won't be bloody neither then. Tell me true for a moment, and you fooled. You gods, as if I could hate the woman who rid us of Nidhogg. Oh, and must you worry. That business about losing my livelihood couldn't have been further from the truth. In point of fact, the piece is proving surprisingly lucrative. As our nation's ties with Hraesvelgur's brood have grown stronger and our interests in Dravania have begun to expand, we have seen a marked increase in the number of travelers on the road. Needless to say, said travelers require protection, which we're only too happy to provide. Granted, such work will not earn you a lordship like the slaying a dragon might, but it pays well and is far less prone to end in incineration, which seems a reasonable compromise, all things considered. As long as there are wars to fight, there will be those who take up arms not out of hatred or even a sense of duty, but for want of better employment. When presented with an alternative, such individuals may gladly trade their swords for size, or failing that, pledge them to a more worthy cause. Tailfeather! Something the matter, lass? Not giving you trouble. I'm trying to remembrance, eh? Gods, it feels like only yesterday Ysel turned up in Tailfeather with you in tow. Back into our lives and gone all too soon. Did I ever tell you how we found her 5 years back? In the torpor, out in the forest, all by her lonesome? Aye, well, we weren't about to leave her there, so we carried her back here and tended to her till she woke up. Didn't say a word for days, Ysel. She just sat there and stared up at the sky, as if the ground held nothing for her. And it didn't, we learned, when she finally spoke. Now, you might think she's not one to smile, but if you'd seen her in those years to follow... Then, one day, all of a sudden, she says she's got a truth that must be shared, up and leaves for the gods nowhere, and that was the last we heard of her, for a time. Redemption's not beyond us, friends. Come and hear the truth. Come and hear the Lady Iceheart speak. And they did, from far and wide, or so the story went. Some said there was nothing in it, but I knew. I knew. I think Arya, the deep down, most folk want to do right by themselves and by others. Aye, they try. Oh, how they try. You do, certainly, and so did she. The legacies we leave. Apologies, you came here to think on your own memories, not listen to mine. I did get to the Malthor next. Right then, if we're to do this properly, you'll need to gather up your incentives, same as before, in case you've forgotten. It's basket of fresh Calum tree fruit, a good-sized jar of land-trapped nectar, and a dirty great cartload of young Nunca flesh. Come on, lass! Surely can't be that bloody daft! You're more than welcome in their village already. Safe travels. I swear. And then I'm in a small building, I get one of the larger mounts. Go figure. Urge. Hold up. Actually, more amazed I landed here successfully. Oh, come on. Hunter of dragons and gods, I bid you welcome. What would you ask of me this day? Once we would have no conception of what you speak. One mind does not forget, but we do. It can be most distressing. To remember is not enough. One must strain and give words to memory, and inscribe words upon parchment. This is the chronicler's calling. He wrote of how you came to Lost Athabot, and how you left the Slayer of Anna, and how the young hunter trained the old hunter while you were away. We shall treasure these memories, this history you have given us, and when new Vath join us, we will share it with them as well. Bound no longer to the will of the many, they were now free to walk their own path. Thus reborn, they would write the first chapter of a new history to pass on to future generations. And as their culture grew older and richer, so too would their story. Annex Shrine! Well, at least it's all in one area, not back and forth. Friend of Azel, warrior of warriors, thou art ever welcome in Annex Shrine. What bringeth thee to us this day? There is much wisdom to be gained from looking to the past. To walk half-remembered paths and mark anew their twists and turns. We too do this, though not through pilgrimage, nor less the written word beloved of thy historians. In song do we preserve the deeds of our lost and chronicle the passing of ages. Naught hath carried their power to stir our hearts. 'Twas a dirge of profoundest sadness that roused Nidhogg's brood to action. A dirge which soundeth no more. Now a new song riseth to fill the void, one of hope rekindled, of war's end and peace rebirth. I shall sing of thee in a cell ever after, that all may know and remember. In the chorus, the fallen could rise once more, for none are dead whose names yet echo in the heavens, and the song would not end until the last voice fell silent. Heroes and villains, sinners and saints, all would live again. And now we're off to Mongo. Oh, adventurer, you're here at last, and this is the wrong quest. It looks like the Muggles from the Tweleswood haven't arrived yet. Now, when I heard there were Muggles down below, my pom-pom perked right up in surprise, Kupo. And then I got to thinking, well, why aren't the Muggles on the surface in the sky living in happy harmony? And I couldn't think of a single satisfactory answer, Kupo. Well, maybe we'll find out when the Tweleswood Muggles get here, Kupo, but I want to know now! Chieftain Moglin knows much of our history. Come on, adventurer, let's go ask him. Now I have 2 quests with Moglin. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that's some progress on that quest, finally. I'll do it, eventually. I'm in your chair. First, I have to get my Moogle voice back on. Well, yank my palm and call me a molebat. I certainly wasn't expecting to see you today. Still calling yourself Arya? Not that there's anything wrong with that, Koopa. Anyways, what are you doing here? Thank heavens for that. I was sure you were going to ask for help with yet another one of your exciting quests. But by all means, we'd love to pass the time reminiscing about the good old days. And when better than now, Koopa, with your friends visiting and all? Wait here and I'll fetch them. This has been a lot of talking and walking. Full glad am I to see you again, Arya, and the Mog home of all places. Kapow! It really is you! And just when we were about to leave. I think it wonderful, this pilgrimage of yours. A final reflection upon the past, that you might face the future with eyes unclouded and a heart at peace. Few would deny that the events of recent days warrant such contemplation. When last we stood in this place, I dare say none among our number would have believed what was to follow, young Justinian at least of all, upon learning what befell him as his law, and confess I thought him lost. But when Master Alfino told me of your great struggle, not of salvation, I was reminded of your talent for the impossible. Hehehe. If you ask me, he seemed altogether too stubborn to die. Though I suppose it is no small feat to evict a spite-filled worm once it had made its home in one's head. With Nidhogg's passing, the children of Ishgard and Ravania may at last look to the future. It is my hope, however, that they will not forget the deeds of history, nor the many thousands of lives lost in their conflict. For only through remembrance will they avoid the mistakes of the past. We thank you again for your hospitality, Chieftain Moglin, and pray that you will one day allow us to extend you the same courtesy. I wish you on your journey, Arya. May you ever walk in the light of the crystal. Till we meet again, Kubo! Even in the farthest reaches of distant, dangerous lands, one may chance upon a friendly face. While given the mischief and largely unconcerned by the troubles of the outside world, they came to understand Ishgard's plight and agreed to lend their aid. Eventually, that is. Make camp in the ruins southeast of Xena. The crackling warmth of Alphino's campfire, the savory waft of Vasel's bubbling stew, the soft snoring of Makhan, asleep on the grass, not the glass. A cold wind blew that night as well, and on the morrow they mounted the steps and blew the horn. Having climbed to the summit with hope in their hearts, they descended dejected, weighed down by truths too grim to contemplate. Royal Promenade in Ul'dah. We were already in Ul'dah. What the heck, game? This part of the map real quick. Alright. Ay, ay, ay. You there! Over here, quickly! I should have known you would see through my disguise. After all, you have seen it before. Enough talk. Cannot linger here, lest the guards recognize their Sultana. As you may have deduced, I was taking the outside the palace when I saw you standing there, staring up into space. Have you something on your mind? I understand completely. So much has happened, so much has changed, all in so short a space of time. Even now I struggle to make sense of it all. But one thing at least is abundantly clear. I owe you an immense debt of gratitude for all you have done on my behalf and on behalf of those whom I hold dear. After I woke, Papa Sean told me everything. It was a lot to take in. But nothing could prepare me for what Lord Lorito had to say. That ruthless, manipulative swine came before me, expressed regret for what had come to pass, and thinking to make amends, offered all of Tuleji Adeleji's assets, as well as half of his own personal fortune, to the crown. And I accepted. Long did they debate how best to use this wealth. There's no end to the troubles facing our nation, no shortage of worthwhile causes, yet none among our people have suffered more than the refugees. It is they who shall be first to receive aid and succor. There's also the matter of the terrible wrongs committed against you and yours, for which I am, in large part, responsible. Nay, do not protest. It is the truth. Accordingly, I have set aside monies to aid in the Scion's rebuilding, if you would have them. May happily be best if we did not. I see. I trust you know that I would never presume to atone for my mistakes with money. I only wish to see it put to good use. Assuming you have no objections, I shall pledge the funds to the continued development of Revenant's Toll. Oh, listen to me. So much for enjoying a moment's respite outside the palace walls. Rather seems as if I have brought my responsibilities with me. I suppose I should return. Lady Lily, you must come up home at once. Father is worried sick, you know. God, confound it. You lot search this area. I know she came through here. Oh, on the other hand, it is essential that a ruler see firsthand how her subjects go about their daily lives. Not visit the markets in weeks. It would seem a shame to let this opportunity go to waste. Arya, might I impose on you to have a brief yet cordial conversation with those Sultan's born? I'll leave the choice of subject matter up to you. Take care. I beg your pardon, miss, but do you perhaps see a young, felon noblewoman pass this way? Nope. Sorry. Are you certain? Oh dear. Mr. Papachon said this might happen, but I never truly believed he was serious. Oh my gosh. The triumphs we share. Wait, I know you! You're Arya! Ariana! What a stroke of luck! I can think of none better qualified to help us. You see, it is no mere noblewoman that we seek. Ah, but Master Papachon was most explicit about the needs for secrecy. Pray forget I mentioned it. We will find the lady on her own. What cruel fate to lose her father as a child, and be compelled to rule in his stead. How the years had tempered her dreams and taught her, sometimes brutally, the price of naivety. Though outwardly unscathed by her ordeal, it was a wiser, more wary Nanamo who reclaimed the throne. Seriously? We're going back to Revenant's Toll? There you are, Arya. Higiri told me of your pilgrimage. I knew it was only a matter of time before you sought me out. I too have been reflecting on the choices which shaped my path. When I took to the road with my grandfather, when I joined the Crystal Braves, when I tried and failed to warn you before the banquet. I had my suspicions about Wilred's death, that it was the work of a Garlean spy within our ranks. But could not be sure who was involved, hence my desire to speak with you in private. I thought long and hard about how to approach you without arousing suspicion. Mayhap too long. Eventually, I decided to arrange a meeting through Mistress Momodi. Little did I know that bastard Laurentius had seen me do it. Shortly thereafter, the fourth received urgent summons. Needless to say, I had no choice but to answer, and soon found myself at the mercy of Captain Ilbert's band of traitors. They confined me to the writing zones, along with others still loyal to the Scions. Real, FME, Argmus. What they planned to do with us, I couldn't say. Mayhap they thought we would turn, given time. The fools. Lieutenant Yuyuhase bid the third keep us under constant guard, but when the Captain Ilbert moved to carry out General Raban's execution, they were forced to withdraw all but a token force, which we took by surprise one night, and then it was over. One might argue that it turned out better than I had any right to, all things considered. Still, there are nights where when I lie awake wondering if I had done things differently, if I had been more careful or more decisive, what then? But there is not to be gained from thinking thus. We must count our blessings, must we not? We are still here, and most of what was broken can be rebuilt. You will see, Arya. You will see. For the freedom of all had begun with an oath and ended with a betrayal, as the conspirators turned on their comrades for coin and country. The good and true were beaten and imprisoned, or else butchered where they stood. And even in their darkest moments, they have never stopped believing that the dawn's light would shine again. Finally back to Ishgard. Oh my gosh. I thought this would take like 30 minutes, not an hour. Why, hello there, Arya. Fancy meeting you here. Reminiscing about the glory days, eh? I spent many a sleepless night hammering away in that corner of ours. How's your mana cutter holding up, by the way? Still too big. Ha! That's good to hear. Not that I had any doubts. Like, our craftsmen are second to none. Craftsmanship. Wait. It will take more than swirling winds and raging dragons to bring her down. And that, my friends, is an Ironworks guarantee. Speaking of which, on the back of the field's test success, we've gone ahead and licensed design for mass production. Soon as Sky Steel manufacturer will be churning out mana cutters by the dozen. Which is why we're here today, as a matter of fact, to make sure their machinists don't bugger anything up. Apparently, adventurers have been queuing up to place an order. And even some sky pirates. I just imagine the sea of clouds teeming with our creations fills me with a father's pride. Right then, that's enough patting ourselves on the back. We've got to make sure the colors are up to snuff, or Jesse will never let us hear the end of it. From now until we finish, there's going to be no more breaks, distractions than that 1 week of sleep. Do you hear me? Oh, Chocobo. Well, we'll leave you to it then. Till next time, eh? Yeah, I'll see you at Alexander, right? Despite the many hardships they have endured, or perhaps because of them, they greet every new challenge with a smile. Their workshop, their battlefield, their tools, their weapons, they invariably rose to the occasion, delivering ingenious solutions to seemingly unsolvable problems. Oh my gosh. Good thing I'm blind now. Through tempestuous winds they carved a path, breaching the dread worm's sanctum, and there did they put him to the sword. Yet in the wake of hard-fought victory, where secrets lay bare in a vision dark and disturbing. The legacy of the fathers, bequeathed to their sons and passed down through generations. All blood enduring in the new, the mark of original sin. Seriously? Back and forth and back and forth. And there she is at last. Gabrielon said you were wandering all over, reminiscing about days gone by. Seems a bit soon if you ask me. It's not like I don't understand though. Some days I'll be walking through the broom, same as normal, and it hit me all of a sudden just how much has changed for us. Though I know it's a bit different from what you've been through. Puts me in mind of the first time I saw her and her friends up near the Aetheryte, being shown around by the House 4 Taunt Man. Oh, you never told me you'd met before. If it weren't so much a meeting as a heckling, to be honest. When I heard their guy warding them off, paying a visit to the Brood, it stuck in my craw. And you've got to admit, the Master often knows the spinning image of a snotty little lordling. A little lordling that went on to fight 2 Knights of the Heavensward with Arya here in the trial by combat. Not to mention helping me take the fall from the true brothers. Fury have mercy, it feels like a bleeding lifetime ago, don't it? Because it was. What we've got now is nothing like what came before. It's a bleeding rebirth is what it is. Cold comfort to the folk who died getting us here. Still, this piece is ours, and we owe it to ourselves to make the most of it. Meaning, we've got to work twice as hard to make the Broom a better place. No more harassing blue bloods either. Aye aye! A world apart from the opulence of the pillars, they had toiled shrouded in the haze of the room. Sentenced to a life of hardship by birth, they dreamed of revolution as children dream of fairies. The one came and went, and they suddenly found themselves with a seat at the table. This isn't the last step. We'll finish this next time, in which I'll probably also try and do some extremes. Oh yeah, sure, there's a Sephiroth up with one spot. I swear. Yeah. We'll continue this reminiscence next time. Oh my gosh, I seriously thought it was like 30, maybe 40 minutes, not an hour and a half. Holy heck. Whew. Also, it's a lot of talking. I'm getting like how I get when I've done too much talking. So, thank you for watching. We'll finish this hopefully next time. We'll maybe doing some extremes, a dungeon, that sort of stuff. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing if you're not already. If you really enjoyed it, consider supporting the channel. All support greatly helps to keep making content like this and more. You can find the links for that in the description. There's pretty great links in there. Check them out. You can also find links to me on social media down in the description. So thank you for watching, and until next time, this is rinimt. Way too much talking. Signing out. Oh my gosh.